On the rocky shore of one of Japan's most southern islands stands a sculptured monument of what is to them an alien culture. The statue is Christian, the Virgin and Child. This peaceful memorial carries no hint of the violent era when Japan and Europe discovered one another. Japan was at war with itself. For years, shogun warlords had sent their armies of samurai warriors to fight unending battles with neighboring principalities. Meanwhile, in Europe, aggressive mariners were sailing to every point on the globe in search of lands to conquer. The Catholic Pope in the Edict of Nantes divided the world quite simply, half to Spain, the other half to Portugal. As Spain moved into the Americas, Portugal took root in Africa, India, and by the 1540s in Macau, on the China coast. From there, they crossed the China Sea to the fabled land of the rising sun. The arrival of the Europeans opened up fabulous possibilities for both sides. To the Japanese, these strange and exotic foreigners were profitable trading partners. The Japanese were fascinated by everything European. The Europeans had brought two things that were to change the culture of Japan forever. One was the gun, the other, the cross. The first Christian missionary to come to Japan was Francis Xavier. The warm reception he received led to a flood of Catholic missionaries. In 70 years, 1 out of 25 Japanese converted. The allure of Christianity began to worry the Shinto emperor. It was the gun that helped a series of powerful warlords to finally subdue the feuding factions. In 1600, General Tokugawa defeated all contenders in a great battle and unified all of Japan. Suddenly, the Japanese became alarmed by the threat posed by the foreigners and their demanding religion. Christianity was banned. Six European priests and 20 Japanese converts were crucified. Within a few years, Japan's 300,000 Christians were ordered to renounce or die. Thousands were massacred. Over the next 250 years, Japan was completely closed to the outside world as the Tokugawa shoguns firmly ruled in the name of captive emperors. Japan's rigid class system got more rigid, and the powerful bureaucracy glorified the art of collective decision-making. The Japanese social order was frozen in time. It has been more than a century since the American Admiral Perry opened Japan to the world. A period in which the Japanese social order has absorbed the elements of industrial revolution which had so disrupted the cultures of Europe and America. Now, the foreign faces appearing on the streets of great Japanese cities are confirmation of that nation's major importance in a shrinking world. Japan seems to have successfully absorbed within her culture the elements of conflict which began with the confrontation of priest and samurai. Nighttime in Tokyo. Another long day has ended. Time to kick back and unwind. And what better way than to laugh at it all? Every night, Issei Ogata plays to a packed theater.
Every salaryman carries two things, a briefcase and a newspaper. In their briefcase, they have their notebook, their calculator, their shaver, their electronic pocket memo, and some have their Walkman. But they never use any of these things on the train. All they want to do is sleep. I don't know why they carry their newspapers either. There's definitely no room to read them. Oh, shoot. The paper's upside down. Being up there before audiences, I've seen many different reactions to my act, but one way or another, most seem to get my message.
Laugh at a samurai back in old Japan and you'd get your head lopped off. But today, as they see how the rest of the world behaves, the Japanese are starting to relax and take it all a little less seriously. They can laugh at life's vicissitudes along with the rest of us. In media-mad Japan, half the movies shown on the big screen are foreign, primarily American. The remaining movies are dominated by potboilers, tearjerkers, and action flicks, ground out by the three major Japanese studios. Now and then, working against considerable odds, one of Japan's independent filmmakers manages to produce a picture that bucks the trend. The jumbled rooftops of Yokohama blend into the endless urban sprawl of Tokyo. The only way to get a long view is straight up. Atop a building in a busy residential neighborhood, there is an observatory where two friends are trying to see into the future. One is an artist, the other a scientist. They share a dream of a distant frontier, the planet Mars. The red planet. So similar to our Earth, yet lacking the atmosphere and climate that nurture life, Mars is considered a fruitful destination for space exploration.
By living in another place, we ourselves will change. Our values will change. By expanding the biosphere, the living sphere, to the moon, to Mars, we ourselves might be able to build a new, different utopia.
Ishikawa and his colleagues carefully plan each step. The journey to Mars will begin with a one-day trip to a space station, then 3 more days to a base on the moon. Finally, a 9-month voyage onto Mars itself. It's difficult to imagine such a trip, but what is equally thought-provoking is that a Japanese corporation is spending money on the project, without hope of return in the next half-century. "100 modular greenhouses would dot the Marsscape around the settlement, providing microenvironments where colonists would raise most of their own food. By the year 2100, the Mars colony would have 50,000 residents and be sufficiently established to propose its independence from the Earth.
Looking into the future, what kind of history will mankind create? I believe it's inevitable that men will go out to space. And that does not concern just one country. It requires a point of view covering the entire human race, or an expansion of the whole ecological system, including plants and animals. Therefore, I believe this is not a matter for one country, but this project should be developed on a global level, involving many different countries.
It's quite a change of perspective from the days of the Shogun.